All right, folks, welcome back. Today it is time for our 11th video in the Mk262 cloning series. I'm pretty excited about this one because this is our retrospective. We're going to go back to some of the best loads we've worked up so far in the first 10 videos and retest them today. So the basics of this series are we're trying to clone the Mk262 Mod 1, also known as the Black Hills 77 grain OTM. These have a 77 grain Match King, and they shoot around 2,750 feet per second. Now, 2,750 feet per second is nothing to sneeze at. That is haul and butt for a 77 grain bullet. But we've managed to get there with quite a few of the powders. Back in video 1, we were very careful about powder selection and trying to pick out the powders we thought would get us there, and quite a few of them have. So this is the primary bullet we've been using. Early on in the series, we did shoot some Nosler 77 grain custom competitions with a Canalure, but we ended up settling on the Sierra. It's just plain old 77 grain Sierra Match King, except that it has the Canalure. Just about burned through our box. I'm gonna have to pick up some more. So the brass we've used in this series is just like what comes in the Black Hills factory ammunition. It's Lake City 556 brass. And on the primer side of things, we've used two different primers. Early on, we were trying to figure out exactly what was inside of the Black Hills factory ammunition. Visually, it looked most like the Remington 7.5 small rifle bench rest primer. We used these for a while, but it still wasn't a perfect match. So I don't know what primer is actually in that stuff. We've also used, in quite a few videos, we've used the CCI number 41s. One of the main advantages I found from the CCI 41 is it's a little bit larger primer. And a lot of times when you're shooting once fired, twice fired, 3 times fired Lake City brass, the primer pockets start feeling loose a good bit faster with the Remington 7.5s than they do with the 41s, just because, they're a little bit bigger. But we found very similar performance. And in several earlier videos, we even tested them head to head with a few powders. They were pretty close as far as performance goes. And in today's video, where we're going back to check some of our old loads, I'll be using whatever primer we used in that powders video. Now also for this test, I managed to stretch out my backyard range to 200 yards. It's winter time, everything's dead. I was able to chop down some brush and crap and get my range stretched out to 200 yards. So all of the testing today is going to be done at 200 yards. And beyond that, we're going to shoot 10 shot groups. So I think 10 shot groups at 200 yards should be a pretty good test of our clone loads. So first of all, just want to review a little bit here. All the way back, I think these were the first 3 shots we ever shot with the Black Hills factory ammo. I am using an 18-inch White Oak armament barrel that just shoots amazing. And as you can see, our best group there, .553, and then up to a .618. So these 3 groups, we were averaging under 0.6 inches. Just excellent. And our velocity here was between 2742 all the way up to 2763. And that has followed on for, we've shot some more of this ammo several other times. Like here in this video, we actually did some concentricity tests and tried to find the 5 best and the 5 worst as far as concentricity goes from our box, and shot groups with those. We didn't really see a whole lot of difference in that particular test, but once again, .712, .832. That was the biggest group we've shot with this, .832. So out of that whole box of ammo, .832 is the worst of our groups. And once again, 2764, 2752, and you can see the purple numbers here are the standard deviation numbers, and we've seen numbers very similar pretty much across the board, between 10 and 15 with all of our Black Hills groups. Here was another one we shot, 2769. This was the highest velocity we've seen out of this ammo. And I've been pretty good about keeping a record of the environmental conditions. You can see this was 84 degrees. So nice warm day, velocity's up there. So I guess 2740. So 2742 is the lowest we've ever seen on a 5-shot average, and 2769 is the highest. So 27 feet per second of spread on our average velocities as we've shot the Black Hills over the last, we've been at this like 6 months probably. So the three main parameters we've been using are, of course, accuracy. 0.5 MOA to 0.8 MOA is kind of what we've seen. So our clone load needs to shoot that well, else it's not a clone load. The other is velocity, and we've set a target of between 2750 and 2760. Because this 2742 average guy here was really a bit of an outlier. The next lowest was 2752, and then we've seen 27. Yeah, so basically 2750 to 2760 is what we've determined as our goal. So it needs to be accurate. It needs to be between 2750 and 2760 feet per second. The third thing is that it needs to show no pressure signs. Because yeah, as we've shot through our box of ammo, pressure signs have looked great with the Black Hills factory ammo. Actually, the brass that we've recovered from shooting these, we've turned them right back around and used them during the series. So no major pressure signs on the brass. Those are our three parameters. It has to shoot good groups. It has to be between 2750 and 2760 feet per second, and it has to do it without tearing up our brass. So let's look at a list of the loads that I came up with. First up, accurate 2520. We had really good luck with that powder. Pressure signs were good, accuracy was good, and velocity was good. The next few, CFE 223 and BLC 2, our accuracy wasn't great. And then the next couple here, TAC, 8208 XBR, and AR Comp, we were really pushing it pretty hard to get up to the velocity we were looking for. The pressure signs weren't horrible, but they were there. Like you could tell, we were right on the edge. And then the last two, back to LeverEvolution and Power Pro 2000 MR, those guys got us to our velocity, no problem. Accuracy wasn't too bad, and it did it without pressure signs. So that's what I want to do. This list of eight loads, we're going to go through each one and shoot a 10-shot group with them. Now, so we've covered the loading process and all of that junk numerous times here throughout the series, so we're going to skip it today. I've actually already shot these, and you can see I've got actually 90 pieces of empty brass here. It includes 10 pieces from our Black Hills. That's another thing I should mention. Today we're going to shoot a 10-shot group at 200 yards with the Black Hills factory ammo and just compare these guys. So there we are. So there are a couple powders that I'm not including in this because, for one, we didn't get to the velocity we were looking for before we hit pressure. IMR 4895, Reloader 15, H4895, and Varget are powders we've seen in this series, but I'm not including them today. We hit pressure before we hit our velocity goal. That doesn't make them bad powders. They're actually all great powders. All four of those would be near the top of my list of favorite powders. Very versatile powders. It's just for this application with a 77 grain bullet, getting up to 2760 feet per second is a little too much to ask. So those guys, we're not going to do any verification shots with them. Now, the last video in this series, I think that's the one where we shot Reloader 15 and H4895. And I hit pressure really early. Like so early that I think there's something wrong with my gun, or something terrible went wrong in that video. So I actually want to revisit those powders, but just not in this video. But that experience, like I said, it made me call into question my gun. So before this video started, I cleaned my 18-inch white oak armament barrel all the way down to bare metal. And it had been quite a while since I really did that, since I really gave it the full treatment and got everything I could out of the barrel. There didn't seem to be a ton of copper in there, but the carbon fouling was kind of intense. Like, it took me a long time to finally get those patches to stop coming out black. I ended up using a little bit of JB Bore paste just to make sure any carbon problems in the throat or anything like that I got it cleaned out of there. So before I started shooting groups for today's video, that barrel was 100% clean, and I took 15 shots through it to get zeroed at 200 yards and to just get it fouled up. So before we started shooting groups, the gun should have had time to, stabilize, get fouled up a little bit, and give everything an equal opportunity to shine here. Now, I did not shoot the Black Hills factory ammo first. I actually shot it 5th, right in the middle. But I want to show it to you first so that we, so that we set our baseline. We know what our target is as we look at the other groups. So I'm going to send you guys out to the range, 10 shots, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So this is what we got, a 2.192 inch group, which is 1.047 MOA. The velocity was exactly 2,760 feet per second with a standard deviation of 16.8. This is not quite as good as I was hoping for. I was hoping to, keep it down in that 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 MOA range that we've gotten used to here in this series. But then again, 10-shot groups are no joke, man. And you know what? The other thing I'm starting to wonder, because here's the thing. This poor White Oak Armament barrel, we have put a ton of incredibly hot loads down this guy. And I was looking back trying to count the videos, and I think we've probably got between 2,500 and 3,000 shots through this barrel now. And I'm thinking maybe, maybe we're starting to see the groups open up just a touch with it. I see barrel life estimates for, what we're talking, let me just be clear, we're talking for absolute premium accuracy. I'm sure this barrel will continue to outshoot 9 out of 10 barrels for 20,000 rounds. But from what I see out there, the guys shooting matches and stuff, I see replacement intervals anywhere from 2,000 rounds up to 5,000, 6,000 rounds before they go ahead and swap in a new one. And that doesn't just go for White Oak. It's, for all of the really premium match barrels. But I'm wondering if maybe that's part of it. And then again, maybe it's not, maybe it's not. But back when we shot these first 3 groups with Black Hills, it was pretty much still a brand new barrel, a couple hundred rounds through it. So it was at the peak of its accuracy life. So I don't know, maybe that's part of it, maybe it's not. But that's what we got for today. We got a 1 MOA group at 200 yards with our Black Hills. Things could be a lot worse. It's hard to complain about that. The other interesting thing I noticed was that for the first time ever through this box of ammo, I did start seeing ejector circles from the factory ammo. Not bad, no swipes, no smears, nothing weird going on. Just the normal circle you see on a lot of 5.56 ammunition. I'd always been surprised that this ammo wasn't showing that to us. But this time at least, here's a look at the brass. Just a few very slight hints of an ejector circle. So let's go ahead and start. Let's move on to our loads. And first up is Accurate 2520. This was a good one from early on. In our initial video with this guy, we shot both the Sierra Match King and the Nosler Custom Competition. We started down around 2,500 feet per second. And at least the Nosler bullet didn't shoot all that well, but with the Match King, it was really excellent. And then we did a follow-up video where we finalized the load of 25.2 grains. Velocity at that time was 2768, and it shot a 416 group. So Accurate 2520 showed outstanding accuracy. It hit our velocity target, and back then it started to show a little bit of ejector mark, but no crazy, no scary pressure signs. So that was the load we had landed on, 25.2 grains, and that's what we want to test today. So let's head back out to the range and have a look at that group. All right. So the group ended up being 1.455 inches, which is 0.695 MOA. So I guess our 2,500 round barrel isn't quite shot out yet. You know, it's still got some good groups in it. And this is definitely one of them. Looking outstanding. We fell just a little bit short on velocity. 2746 with a 12.5 feet per second standard deviation. Temperature today was 58 degrees, by the way. So looking back at our previous test with this powder, it was 68 degrees one day. Yet the day we finalized the load, it was 68 degrees. So that's not that far off. That's 10 degrees. So it was only 10 degrees warmer. And the first time we shot it, it was 84 degrees. Well, so 26 degrees hotter. So we did kind of observe that here previously. So our hottest day, 84 degree day, 25.0 grains, shot 2761 feet per second. The very next video, where it was 16 degrees cooler, that same load shot 2744. So we had lost 17 feet per second there with that temperature drop. So we had to bump up to 25.2 to pick up that last little bit of velocity. Today, we're a little bit cooler and we lost a little bit more velocity. So is Accurate 2520 temperature sensitive? Of course it is. It's a ball powder. It's a spherical powder. They all are. And I tell you what I want to do. I want to take the data we get from today's video. I've been waiting on a really good cold snap. I want to wait on the worst cold snap we get this year. Single digits, below zero, something like that. And I want to basically run this test again. Maybe not 10 shot groups, but at least enough to characterize the temperature stability of all of these powders in this application. But at least here with Accurate 2520, it seems to be varying a little bit. Now, having said that, our factory ammo, our Black Hills factory ammo, we've seen velocity averages all the way from 2740 to 2770. So it's not exactly perfect either. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. But I'll tell you what, I'm a fan of Accurate 2520. After seeing the way it's performed in this series, it's also an excellent 6.5 Grendel powder. So pretty happy with Accurate 2520 and very happy with that 0.695 MOA group that we shot at 200 yards. So let's keep this thing moving so we're not here all day. Next up is CFE 223. Now this guy, if we go back to its final test, its accuracy on the top end was not great. Like here we saw it shot a 1.56 inch group, a 1 inch group, a 1.29, and this was on the exact same day that we were testing Accurate 2520, and it was shooting tiny groups. So accuracy on the top end, not looking awesome. But the funny thing is, the previous video to that, where we had started working our way up, like we'd started all the way down at about 2,500 feet per second and worked our way up. The lower end, especially this 24.4 to 24.7 grade, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the best group I've ever shot with this barrel. A 226 with a 370 right after it. So make no mistake, there's some accuracy to be found with CFE 223. It's just once we pushed it up to the 2,760 feet per second velocity we needed, it kind of went away a little bit. So let's get back out to the range and see how it shoots today. All right, so we ended up with a 2.576 inch group, which is 1.23 MOA. Certainly not terrible. And it kind of falls right in line with that, 1.2, 1.3. Actually, yeah, our previous test, it was 1.56 inches. Yeah, so that little over an inch at 100 yards, you know, it's a little over 2 inches at 200 yards. It kind of shot as we should have expected. And here's another thing. I don't know for sure which lot number I used. Actually, with a couple of these powders, There are several that I'm sure I'm using the same lot number I used in the previous video, but CFE223 is one. I've got two groups of CFE223 cans, and I don't remember which one I used, and I don't keep track of it, even though maybe I should, but whatever. You get the point. But our velocity was 2748 with a 17.4 feet per second standard deviation. Very close to the 2746 feet per second we saw with Accurate 2520. So just a touch low, but nothing crazy. 2748, that's good enough. So that's CFE 223. Not bad, but just not quite the accuracy you might hope for. All right, we need to get rolling. We're going to be here all day, aren't we? Next up is old BLC2. Back when we did this video, it was kind of similar to the way CFE 223 acted. If we kept, down here in the lower velocity regions, we saw some excellent accuracy. These are the best groups I've ever shot with BLC2. Like 24.6 grains, which was 2,615 feet per second. We shot a .557 inch group at 100 yards. But in that video, once we pushed it, the accuracy really went to crap. Like we saw a 2.97 inch group and a 1.92 inch group as our last two groups with it. So not expecting a lot here as far as accuracy goes with BLC2. So let's go ahead and hit the range. All right, so the crappy accuracy we saw in our workup continues to this video. That was ugly. 4.395 inches, 2.099 MOA. Kind of gross. Plus, velocity was way down. 2724 feet per second with a 15.5 feet per second standard deviation. If we go back to the day we tested it was 74 degrees. Remember, today was 58. So 16 degrees difference, and man, we really lost some velocity. Can't say for sure whether that's 100% temperature related, but it's, I don't know, it's something. So we'll move on quickly from BLC2. And next up is lots of people's favorite, Ramshot TAC. This is a powder that we really had to push. We had to push this guy pretty hard. Back in our original video, kind of similar to what we've seen with some others. Excellent accuracy on its way up. We were down here in this 0.5 to 0.6 region with our lower charges, and then we started really pushing it, and it opened up, and our last group here, which was our, our 2764, the one that finally got to our target velocity, opened up to a 2.3 inch group. So, yep, a little bit gnarly, and I'm pretty sure we got some pressure signs. Well, I keep forgetting to show you guys the brass. I tell you what, there are really only a couple pieces of brass that I really need to show you. Everything we've shot up to this point, 2520, CFE 223, BLC2, they all looked awesome. No pressure signs to speak of, and I wouldn't expect it. Like those three powders are kind of pretty perfect as far as burn rate for this application, I think we've learned. Ramshot TAC's a little fast, and this is the one where, yeah, like I said, we hit a little bit of pressure signs in our previous video. So let's go ahead and hit the range, and then we'll, see what happens. So we ended up with this 2.260 inch group, which is 1.079 MOA. That's not terrible shooting, but it was kind of like almost trying to double group there, right? I'm thinking maybe, we're just below the next accuracy node, right? We're kind of in that transition period. Maybe if we bumped it up a little bit, those shots low and to the left would go away and it would start shooting, we would regain some accuracy and end up with a nice group up there high right. But the problem's pressure. So our velocity ended up being 2742 with a 14.4 feet per second standard deviation. And this is the first one where on the brass definitely saw some pronounced ejector marks. Like the ejector circles, they were there on all the cases. Not terrible, like not terrible, but they're there. It's more than like the previous 3 powders that we've tested. So it's a great powder, but I think it's just, it's better off if you back it off just a little bit. 2700, 2725 in this application might be a great one, but trying to push it this hard, I think we're going a little bit too far. Now, in a very similar vein is IMR 8208 XBR. This is a great powder. Freaking awesome powder. But it's a little fast for this application. We saw some pressure back whenever we were doing the initial workup on this guy, but man, it shot well. It was accurate across the board, and even our final load of 24.0, 0.636 inch group back then, 2759 feet per second, and this was on a 90-degree day. 90 degrees. And this is one of the main reasons why I want to go ahead and shoot this guy. I want to see how much velocity we're going to lose here on a 58-degree day versus a 90-degree day when we saw 2759. So let's head back, let's head back out to the range and see what 8208 XBR does. Tell you what, man, 8208 XBR can just flat out shoot. We ended up with a 1.630 inch group, 0.779 MOA, but that one shot really screwed us. That sucks. But we count them all. That's how we roll around here. So it ended up being a 0.779 MOA, but it was about to be a whole lot better. Velocity was 2762 with an 11.0 feet per second standard deviation. Back to our previous testing, it was 2759. So, and that was, remember, that was the 90-degree day. So that's the advantage with the extruded powders, right? All 4 of the other powders we've shot already, our velocity was low. We had lost some from our previous testing. And then here comes our first extruded powder, and we're 3 feet per second away from what we were before. Does that really matter? It can. It certainly can. But I think a lot of times people will overestimate the actual impact it's going to have on you. But here we are. Great group. Great temperature stability, excellent velocity, but the problem is we pushed it too far. This was our worst brass of the day, and we actually had a couple that raised up some big old gnarly burrs right where the ejector is. So this was significantly overpressure, and this isn't a load I would shoot again. But it's an awesome powder, man. You back it down just a little bit. You shoot 2700, you shoot 2725, and you're probably in good shape. But yep, up here at 2760, just pushing it too hard, man. So that brings us to the only other extruded powder we're testing today, and that is Alliant AR Comp. Kind of a similar thing. We're pushing AR Comp pretty darn hard. I'm a big fan of AR Comp. It's been a good accuracy powder for me in 6.5 Grendel. It's done well here in 223. And back to our test day with this guy, same deal. It was 90 degrees that day, freaking hot, and it shot nothing but great groups. Up here at the top end, this ended up being our guy, 2759 feet per second, 0.761 inch group, really good shooting load. And we actually shot one higher. I remember the pressure signs on this were ridiculous. But at 2785, it shot a 438. But, yeah, we were about to blow our face off. So 22.9 was our load, and that's what we tested today. So let's head back out to the range and see how that guy shot. All right, so AR comp shot very well. 1.792 inch group, 0.856 MOA. The velocity, just like we saw last, in the last group with 8208 XBR, here in this guy, it was 2761 feet per second with a 9.4 feet per second standard deviation. And the last time at the range, it was 2759 with a 9.0. So we were within 2 feet per second, even though we had a 32-degree temperature differential. So outstanding stability from both of those powders. This guy also had some pressure signs, though. We're just pushing it a little bit too hard. Very similar to 8208 XBR. If we back it down just a little bit, it's awesome. But actually, the pressure signs with this weren't quite as bad as 8208 XBR. We didn't really raise up the burrs on the brass or anything like that, but we definitely got some smears. So the brass, flowed down into that ejector a little bit and then kind of got sheared or smeared off during extraction and ejection. So great powder, great group. Very happy with that 0.856 MOA group, but just pushed it a little bit too hard. Next up is one we just tested a few weeks back, Hodgdon LeverEvolution. This was one where, accuracy was pretty darn good in our original test. And not only did we hit our velocity target, we went beyond it. We ended up going all the way up to 2,785 feet per second in the previous video. Still shot a pretty decent group, 1.11 inch, and didn't really see any scary pressure signs. But back here at 25.3 grains was our load. It shot a 0.72 inch group last time at 100 yards and gave us 2757. Now this guy's got a little bit of an advantage here. That range date was 51 degrees. So we don't really have the big temperature differential to test out LeverEvolution in this case, but you can't have everything in life. So let's hit the range, see how it shoots. All right, so our group here wasn't terrible. It was a 2.640 inch group, 1.261 MOA, but it was kind of stringing them horizontal there, wasn't it? Now, I was dealing with some wind today, but it wasn't bad. I don't think it was enough to cause this much horizontal stringing on me. Velocity this time was 2753. Remember, last time it was 2757, so we were within 4 feet per second of our velocity from last time. But we were pretty close to the same temperature last time. So it's not surprising. So LeverEvolution and CFE223 are very, very similar powders. And this guy shoots a 1.26 MOA, and CFE223 had shot a 1.23 MOA. So pretty similar performance. Nothing to write home about, but certainly nothing to be embarrassed about. LeverEvolution did itself proud here. So for those of you that are still awake, we've got one more left, and that is Alliant Power Pro 2000 MR. This is another powder that is just capable of some silly velocities. In our previous testing, we got up to 2777, shooting excellent groups. That was a 0.736 inch group at 100 yards. But our actual load, our 2760 feet per second load, which gave us no pressure signs, shot a 0.552 inch group. So that's what we chose as our load. So let's go out and hit the range and see how it shoots at 200. All right, so 2000 MR shoots a 2.367 inch group, which is 1.130 MOA. Not terrible. Kind of like the last group where we kind of saw some weird horizontal stuff with LeverEvolution, a little bit of that here. You know, we could have done without those 2 shots on the left. That really kind of screwed up our group. But 2000 MR was trying to group. Like, it was really trying to group. So this velocity was 2773 with a 14.6 feet per second standard deviation. Previous video, it was 2760 with a 17.5 feet per second standard deviation. So we picked up a little bit of velocity here. So I think it's going to be fascinating. Like I said, when I get some really, really cold weather, I think it will be fascinating to go through, especially, you know, all these ball powders again. And even, you know, even 8208 XBR and AR comp, the extruded powders. It'll be interesting to see. Today they showed incredible stability. Will that continue down to 0 degrees or whatever? And pretty much all of the ball powders showed more variation in velocity than those two did, even though their previous day on the range was 90 degrees, right? So let's look at the whole board. Kind of take it all in, right? That arm's length view can tell us a whole lot more than just pure group numbers sometimes. I mean, our best group of the day was the first one, Accurate 2520. That powder is just impressive. And the only other 2 sub-MOA groups that we shot were with our 2 extruded powders, 8208 XBR and AR comp, middle right and bottom left. And both of those guys were over pressure and really needed back down a little bit. But you know what? Except for BLC2, which was a dumpster fire, nothing else was really terrible. Outside of that, our worst groups were CFE 223 in the top center and LeverEvolution in the bottom center in that 1.2 to 1.3 MOA range. Not terrible, but I think I would have to say at this point in our series, with what we've tested so far, I'll take Accurate 2520 all day. And second best has got to be 2000 MR. Neither of them show us any pressure signs. I think, you know, 2000 MR is the slower of the 2 powders, I think, right? We've pushed 2000 MR to what, 2780 or something and not really run into problems. And I think, you know, today's load was just a touch hot. It was 26.7 grains. I think maybe a 26.6 grains of powder just to bump things down a little bit more. And that way, you know, we've shot it 30 or 40 feet per second faster than that without any issue. So you've got room there for temperature stability problems or, you know, varying pressure for those reasons. So I think, yeah, 2000 MR for the safe bet and Accurate 2520 for the accuracy. So this series is not over, not even close. Still got a handful of powders that I want to test. Winchester 748, Winchester 760, Hodgdon H380. Another one is, let's see if I got the bottle here. This stuff, Alliant Power Pro Varmint. I never even considered this powder because, you know, it's considerably faster burning than 2000 MR. And like if you look on the Alliant website, they only give 223 data up to 55 grain bullets with this stuff. So I figured it was up in the H335 sort of range as far as burn speed, and that it would just be way, way too fast burning to get the sort of velocities we need in this series. But my recent tests in 6.5 Grendel with this powder make me think otherwise. Over in that cartridge, it's given good velocities. And if you want to know the good velocity powders for 6.5 Grendel, I mean, this is pretty much the group. So it's got me wondering, how would it do? How much velocity could we get out of Power Pro Varmint with the 77 grainers? I mean, because to be honest, we could probably hit 2,800 feet per second with Power Pro 2000 MR. We've almost gotten there. I think we've maybe seen, you know, a little bit of an ejector mark a time or two, but no serious pressure signs. This load was a little bit compressed. I don't know how much more powder we could actually get in there, but we could probably get a little bit more. But the load for this was 26.7 grains. The next highest load was BLC2 at 25.5. So we're using 1.2 grains more of this stuff than we are of anything else. So if I'm wondering if in reality, you know, Power Pro Varmint might actually belong in this group. So I want to try this guy. See, what else did I mention? I mentioned H380, the Winchesters, 748, 760, Power Pro Varmint. I want to retest with H4895 and IMR 4895 and Reloader 15 because that video where we saw those pressure signs, I was a little bit weirded out. I still don't know whether that was something going on with my gun or if that was legit pressure. I'd really love to find an extruded powder that we could get up to the velocity, but I don't know, you know, the velocity without hitting pressure. But I just don't know if there's anything that would work. There is Vitivory H540 in that region of the burn rate chart. That's one of their high energy powders, I believe. Their 500 series. So I don't know if, I might look around and see if anybody's tried H540, or if you've tried it and have some experience to share, let me know down in the comments. So yeah, this was video 11. It was a bit of a summary up to this point, but we're not done. We are definitely not done, and I hope you will continue to join me for the ride, because I'm having fun. Actually, I need to get some more bullets, don't I? Yeah, I don't even have enough to shoot another video unless I go back to the nozzlers, which, you know, the nozzlers shot well early on in this series, but in other instances they didn't shoot well. We had a couple videos where they were lagging behind on the accuracy department to the Sierras, so yeah, I need to think it over. So I think that's where I'll wrap this one up. If you guys want to help support the channel, help me do stuff like buy boxes of bullets, you can visit patreon.com/reloading. You can check out my affiliate links down in the description before you go do your shopping, and that helps a lot as well. So I'll see you guys next time.